Well, you want to know what part of my life, and actually, this has been a very interesting part because this is completely new. When I wanted to become a Dominican, I thought I would be working with the Scouts or something like that in a parish. I never saw a parish, and I never worked with Scouts. But what I did do is I have worked with the Conference, with the Major Superiors Conference, with Development and Peace as an interpreter. I started off as an interpreter because somebody called me up one day and said, look, I'm stuck. I'm with the major conference of religious, and I need some help as an interpreter. For you to be an interpreter, I said, I never was an interpreter. He says, yes, but you speak English and French. I said, yeah, but a lot of people speak English and French. So it was very, very surprising for me. But so I went with her and started it off in the office of the Canadian Religious Conference. And the Canadian Religious Conference then was asked by the Bishops' Conference, we need an interpreter. Do you have anybody? So she said, yes. And then the Development and Peace asked the Bishops' Conference, do you have anybody? And they said, yes. And then the Canadian Council of International Cooperation asked Development and Peace, do you know anybody who's an interpreter? We say, yes. So all this started off in 1970, which was 53 years ago. And it gave me a chance to meet all kinds of people and especially develop a relationship. Now, I didn't broadcast I was a priest. Everybody knew I was a priest. And I never did any kind of, I did some baptisms from those people, marriages and things like that. But it was not a clear ministry. And yet, because I am who I am, that part was quite clear. Alors, la mission de l'ordre, c'est quoi par rapport à mon travail? Oui, c'est assez intéressant parce que c'est tout et ce n'est rien. C'est tout dans ce sens que nous sommes des ordres de prêcheurs. Donc, nous avons la parole qui est très importante. Mais la parole, elle doit être comprise. Elle est comprise en étant selon les groupes. J'ai agi comme interprète dans les chapitres des Dominicains, dans les rencontres de Dominicains. Alors, dans ce sens-là, ça répondait à un besoin à l'intérieur de l'ordre. J'ai fait j'ai fait 3 chapitres dans l'ordre, et les chapitres généraux. Et j'ai fait beaucoup de travail avec des groupes religieux. Je faisais les groupes avec l'interaméricaine, par exemple, des évêques. Alors ça, c'était l'Amérique latine, les États-Unis et le Canada. Je faisais d'autres rencontres avec des religieux et religieuses. Et pour moi, ce diaphane, si je peux dire, cette transparence, faisait partie de l'ordre. Dans l'ordre, on a eu des physiciens, on a eu des gens qui faisaient du travail sur les physiques nucléaires, on a eu des chauffeurs de taxi. Alors, c'est pas la question de ce que tu fais, c'est un peu pourquoi on le fait et comment on le fait. Et justement, pour moi, c'était très important d'être un véhicule de communication entre différentes cultures. Et j'étais surpris parce que j'ai pas cherché, c'était un don de Dieu pour répondre aux attentes des gens de l'époque. Alors, Église canadienne bilingue, d'abord, je pense que ce n'est plus possible de penser simplement à 2 langues. La conférence épiscopale fonctionne en anglais et en français, c'est certain. Mais quand je regarde le Canada actuellement, quand je regarde d'où viennent les différents groupes chrétiens, c'est pas le nombre de Québécois qui vont à la messe le dimanche à Montréal, c'est 5%. Alors, c'est pas l'Église québécoise n'est pas et ne sera plus pas, je pense, ce qu'elle a déjà été. Elle était, il y a un moment donné où elle était la moitié de l'Église au Canada. Donc, c'était très important d'avoir une position française et une position anglaise. La position anglaise elle-même est marquée par la mosaïque canadienne. C'est-à-dire qu'il n'y a pas juste une langue. L'anglais n'est pas la langue, c'est la langue lingua franca, en autre mot, c'était la langue d'usage, mais les gens ne sont pas nécessairement anglais ou anglophones. Alors, parce qu'on a le nombre dans les églises actuellement, les Philippinos et les Vietnamiens viennent et ils remplissent les églises beaucoup plus que les Québécois ou que même que les catholiques anglophones irlandais ou de souche français, de souche anglaise. Alors, il faut penser mosaïque dans l'avenir pour notre Église et non pas seulement anglais-français. Donc, moi, comme interprète, je suis une minime partie de cette possibilité-là. J'aide les anglophones et les francophones à se parler, mais il faut voir également beaucoup plus large que ça. Et il faut voir comment est-ce qu'on peut aider d'autres groupes à s'intégrer ou à faire partie de cette Église catholique. So you want to know what are the most interesting moments? I mean, there's been a lot of them. First of all, the immediate surprise for me, being Fringlish, to find out that being Fringlish is an asset in some places, and in particular, where I was given the chance with the Canadian Religious Conference to help out for 53 years. I did all their board meetings. I did all their the annual meetings, the annual general assemblies, and on all the topics. And I say to people, if I could only remember everything I know, I would be very intelligent. But I was put in some situations that were extraordinarily rich, because people were talking the future of the religious life, the situation of religious life, and things that were absolutely remarkable. Now, I have to say, in terms of feature moment, it was day before yesterday. Day before yesterday, the Canadian Council of International Cooperation, which is all the international agencies in Canada that do humanitarian work and also development, social development. These 98 organizations accepted to give me an award on like they call it, a lifetime award for my consistency and presence over the last 53 years. I do not know of any other interpreter who has received an award of this kind. So it's really a marking moment for me. And the way in which they wrote about me is very humbling, not humiliating, but humbling. And so I think that it was, that was the recognition done by the people I sought to help and to accompany during these years has been very rewarding. What would be a challenge as an interpreter with the Bishops' Conference? It's much more a question of theology than a question of language. When I started with the conference, it was 1970. We were talking about Vatican II. And at the time, the bishops were coming out of Vatican II, where they spent months in Rome, coming together, talking together, having meals together, a very, very different mode. So really, the bishops' conference in 1970 was something very, very clear. Now, what has happened since then in the last 50 years is a whole influx of bishops named by John Paul II, by Benedict, by Francis, and their world is different, are different worlds. So the issue with the obstacle or the thing that we need to overcome is not less languages, though in the very beginning, the French bishops had all formation mostly from European authors, whereas the English had the American authors. So there was a different worldview, as I said, at that particular time also. But that wasn't language. That was cultural difference. Now, so what I see now is the Francis bishops, because there's a lot of Francis bishops, names by Francis, who have who are making the church in Canada what it is now. So we'll see what happens. But I believe in the Bishops' Conference there's always an attempt to create harmony and unity. Now, it's not harmony and unity at all costs. They can't be, how can I say, false in their unity. But they do seek a lot to keep the church together as one.